So as Kenyans get ready to head to the polls tomorrow, there are concerns that Muslims in that country, who represent about 11% of the population, are still not well represented. The community is feared to be divided due to internal and external factors. Kenya is set to elect a successor to the incumbent Uhuru Kenyatta. To help us unpack this aspect of this big story, let's bring in Professor Hassan Ndzovu, who is the Associate Professor of Religious Studies at Moore University. The good Prof joins us via our video link this morning. And it's great to have you on the program, sir. Thanks very much indeed for making time. I wonder if we can begin with much needed context around a story like this. My understanding is that Muslims in Kenya played a very significant role in the political history of that country, especially in the 1990s. How would you describe their standing in politics as a community today?
Thank you for this invitation and for the discussion this morning. Yes, I was interested to write this short piece on Muslims' engagement in politics in Kenya, and I was interested to relate it with the current situation, the election which will be tomorrow. I was trying to argue that Muslims, in the previous elections, especially from the 90s, they have tried to come together to mobilize so that they could present some kind of united front as they are going into the election. But as I was observing the situation currently, it seems there seems to be no such effort this time around of Muslims coming together and seeing if they can identify a faction, because at the moment the main two factions in these two elections, we have the Kenya Kwanza, which is being led by the Deputy President William Ruto, and the other coalition formation, which is the Azimio la Umoja, and this is being led by Raila Odinga. Yeah. But this time around, the Muslims have not come out to take side and said we are going as a community to support this particular faction. And for me, I find it very interesting, because in the previous election, at least there have been some kind of attempts of them taking a stand and encouraging their member or the community as a whole to take a position and direct them as to which party to support. Yeah.
Got you. The obvious question then, Prof, becomes why that's the case. I mean, you know, if they've been able to organize in the past, what are some of the issues that are standing in the way this time around?
Yeah, it's interesting. Maybe this will be just a speculation, because they have not come out clear why they are not mobilizing the community and taking a position. Perhaps they feel they wouldn't want to divide the community further, because as I've argued in the article, the community itself is already divided, and most of the time politics in Kenya seems to be influenced by ethnicity, and religion has not been a really major factor in terms of mobilizing people in political matters. Ethnicity seems to be a strong factor in terms of mobilizing people as to which group to support. And from my observation also, it is a fact that most of the communities that are affiliated to the Islamic faith, they come from one will describe them as minority communities in the country. They don't have this clout, this political influence, as would be the case with the bigger ethnic groups. So I think this could have been the reason that already as a community they are divided along numerous factions, and maybe the leader felt maybe it would be prudent not to take a position, because this would also divide the community further.
I know we're in the kind of realm of speculation, as it were, but Do you reckon of these two candidates, any one of them is advantaged by the fact that Muslims haven't been able to organize and back any kind of political, ideological system in this case?
Yeah, I think this is an advantage for both of them because none have taken a position. I think if they would have taken a position, even though not the entire community will heed what their leaders have asked them to support, but I think a sizable number would have supported a certain leader if the Muslim community leadership had asked them to do so. So by them not doing that, I think it is an advantage for both. This has left the community themselves to decide as to whom they would want to support. And as I've already indicated, the issue of ethnicity comes in. So you'd find maybe the Somali leaders already, they would encourage their community as to whom to support. And at the coastal, we also see the leaders from that region in a way asking the community as to whom to support, but not through the religious lenses. So I think this has been an advantage to both of them because the community has not been mobilized religiously as to whom to support, but to a certain extent, silently, I think the ethnic factor comes into play.
Yeah.
And already we are seeing the different regions as to where they are aligned at the moment.
Sure. An interesting take on these highly anticipated elections. Professor Hassan Ndzovu, thanks very much indeed for your time. Professor Ndzovu is an Associate Professor of Religious Studies at Moore University.